What's up guys, so today we're going to study one of my favorite data structure known as linked list. Okay, to start with, what is a linked list? A linked list is made up of several nodes. A node pointing to another node and to another node. One node is divided into two parts. That is, it's going to contain key or your data, and it will contain a pointer, and that pointer will give you the address of the next node. Right? So now, how to program this in Java? Let's go ahead and open the Eclipse. Create a class which is going to be node. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a data structure known as linked list to store a set of student name, their ID, able to search for it. So it is going to be a series of videos. We're going to implement all the function for this session. Okay, so you create a node. Now the main thing is, in any linked list implementation you need to have a head, and this is the start of the node, which is the head. Now from this head we can move along to the next node and to the next node again. Now on this side if we're using a double linked list, then it is going to be known as a tail, but we're not going to implement the double linked list, but this one is going to point to null, right? So any node created should be pointing to null. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look how this node is created and how it is linked to the next node. Right, so this is a class node, and this node is going to have a data, a private data of its own. Right, now since we're implementing for a student, I'm just going to put the student ID, which is known as the SID, and we're going to have a string which is going to be the student name, or let me put it name, and we're going to have string course. Right, so any node which is created, it should pass through the constructor, and that constructor should give rise to all of these data: the SID, the name, and then the course, which is of course string. Right, now like I said, this node must pass on to another node that should contain a link. So this is known as a recursive data structure. That is, one node is going to point to another node, so this node must be pointing to another node. So we just go ahead and put node. That is, this node is going to point to another node. So anytime a node is going to be created, what we're going to have is, this is a node, it is being pointed to a null. Right, until we just do a link to another node, which we are going to see how to do the link some minutes, where this is normally link over here. Right, so whenever this node is created, we're just going to store these specific ID to each one of them. So this dot name is going to be name, this dot course is going to be course, and this node is going to point to null. Right, so after implementing this, what we need is, we need some methods for accessing the student ID and setting all these data, and also create a link. And how we're going to create a link, that I'm going to show you. Right, so public void, for this you will have to put normally the SID. So we're just going to use set SID. Alright, and while setting the SID, it's obviously going to take an SID. So that's going to do this dot SID is equal to SID. So if you want to change the student ID, you can set it. And if you want to, normally we are going to do some searching method, you can just say int SID to search for the specific student, and this is equal to this dot SID is equal to SID. Right, sorry. Since we're using get SID, we just need to return the SID. Right. So this is for getting the SID. Similarly, you can set the name, and here just change the return type to int. So now we have already programmed for getting the SID. We are left with only getting the name and setting the name. So public string set name, and that's going to be string name. This dot name is equal to name. Right, and since we're setting name, I'm just going to put it as void here. Right, so public for getting the name. Normally let's avoid getting the name, but let's put a method for just printing the detail, print details, and that should be of type void. So I'm not normally concentrating on how to actually really describing you what are the methods, what are method or return type, etc. I assume that you already know it, right? So then I'm going just to do system.out.println, and just a bit of decoration. We're just going to put it something like this. Concatenated with the SID, then added with some kind of decoration, so that whenever we're going to print all the students, then we're going to have it, right? So the student, the SID, and just going to print out all the detail, like we have the name. So system.out.println, we're just going to print the name. So you can store many information, but that's not really required here, right? And here you're just going to pass in the name, system.out.println. We're just going to put course. Right. So that's the implementation of it, of getting the print detail, getting the name, getting the SID. Now, how to normally link it to a node, right? So a node must be linked to another node, right? So what we're going to do is public void set next, that is set the next node, and for that we're going to use node n1. That is a node. Now, on this node where I am, I need to point it to the node that I want to put next. Let me show you in Paintbrush. I have created a node normally. This is my node, right? Initially it has the data on one side, and then on the other side it is pointing to next. So what is going to happen next is this pointer is going to point to the next node, right? But here, since I've just created it, it's going to be null, right? And instead of avoiding this null, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a new node over here, right? And this one will point to null. Or we can just go to that node and point it to null. So set next, we're just going to do a node that I have. I think it's yes, it's node equal to n1, right? So set the next. Now we can move on to a specific node to other node another node, sorry, by getting the next node. And normally that should return same time at the node, and we're just going to return the node. So that's very simple, right? Now, how to link all my nodes is I'm going to use now a link node. A link node class that's going to link everything over there, right? Any node except if you're implementing a doubly linked list node, it has normally a head and a tail. But for us, we're going to have a head, right? So node head. Right, anytime we create normally a linked list, the head is always pointing to null because it doesn't have anything. So we're just going to do public link node, and that's normally pointing to null. So the head must be equal to null. Now we can have all the methods inside it for creating a node and inserting it, right? So we can have an insert first method. So given that the list is empty right now and we need to insert it, so void type. So whenever we have created a linked list, it has a head that is null, that is, it is empty. Now if we want to insert anything, we just have to create. So let's say we are passing already the node created in my application. So this node is going to point to the next node, right? That is, the head is going to be assigned to my first node, right? So very simple. Now we can have another method like public void. We can also insert last in it, that is at the last position. So what's that's going to do? Now I'm going to introduce here, in the next video, how we can normally make use of two variables to traverse the node. So thanks for watching that, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.